Have you ever walked out of a meeting, one where you were giving some spot on feedback, thinking that you absolutely nailed it? You were clear, you were kind, you were calm, you did everything that Brene Brown tells you to do, right? But then nothing changed. They nodded, they said that they understood what you were talking about, but then they went right back to doing the exact things the exact same way, which left you wondering, did they not hear me? Do they not care? Or worse yet, is it me? Am I the problem? Well, here's the thing, it probably is you, but not for the reason you think it is. When your feedback doesn't land, it's not just frustrating, it is costing you your credibility. Because every time you repeat yourself, every time you give that third reminder, every time you follow up for something that should have already been done, your influence is eroding just a little bit more. And the problem isn't that you're not giving great feedback. You probably are. The problem is the way that you're giving the feedback that is actually sabotaging you. So today I want to break down the three things that I hear managers say the most often that are completely undercutting their feedback and what you can do instead so that your words actually drive action instead of just eye rolls. And if you have ever had that moment where you gave feedback, you thought it was great, and then nothing changed, drop a comment below. I want to know what part of the conversation is actually tripping you up the most. All right, now let's get into it and talk about why your feedback isn't working and how you can fix it before it costs you your credibility. Now, just a tip, the third one is the most insidious way that you are sabotaging your own feedback. So stick around to the end so that you can see that one as well. All right, number one, your feedback starts off with something like, I'm going to need you to, or we're going to need you to. And look, I know why you're doing this. You're trying to be consistent. You're trying to be direct with your feedback and give people exactly what you want from them up front. Now, again, Brene Brown herself says clear is kind. The problem is you don't come across as clear. What you come across is that boss from Office Space who just wanders up to people's cubicles saying, yeah, we're going to need you to make sure you put the cover sheet on your memos. There might be a lot of reasons why you are not him, okay? I would rest assured that you are not that boss. But you don't want to take any chance of actually sounding like him, right? Now, the reason why this is such a problem is because you have centered yourself in the you have told them, I need you to do this thing for me or the company at best, right? And it gives them, an individual with so much value to offer, no stake in the game, no benefit, no path to internal motivation. So, in the absence of emotion and connection, people resist. And then they do the minimum, right? Even the most well meaning demands feel like mandates. And when you have that less than meaningful connection with someone and their personal motivations, why would they feel the need to step up to your mandates, to things that are going to be beneficial only to you? Imagine if it was reversed, all right? If your employee walked up to you and said, we're going to need you to read our emails in their entirety and then respond to them within 8 business hours. Most managers would be absolutely offended, right? Who are you, employee, to come up and demand how I respond to your emails? Even if, as a manager, you know that you're slow to respond, even if you know that you miss things sometimes, if someone brought it up to you that way, you would absolutely resist that feedback. And that is how you sound when you are bringing it that way to them. Now, I know that you don't want to sound like that, right? So let's talk about what you can do instead. First and foremost, we need to just flip the script. Show them what's in it for them to make these changes. Maybe if you ask them to come in early, you could let them know that they could actually leave early from that shift that day. Maybe if you need to see more consistency in their work, you could explain how positive consistency creates visibility for that next stretch assignment or that next promotion that they're interested in. Maybe you could offer to pull them from some unpopular rotation as a reward for going above and beyond in whatever it is that you need from them. The trick is to know what motivates that specific person and then use that thing. There are a lot of people that you could offer visibility for the next stretch opportunity, and all they hear is more work. There are other people who you could offer to leave early that day, and they think, I don't want other people thinking I'm a slacker. Most of the time, say 90% of the time, there is something that you can offer for them if you dig deeply enough. And if you don't know what motivates your team, then I want to jump on a call with you so that we can just work on discovering what that would look like together. So click the link down below if you want to set up some completely free time with me to just talk through this piece of it. But there is that rare 10% of the time. There is that small amount where you are asking them to do a task or you are giving them feedback that's going to cause them more work, and there really isn't an obvious upside for them. In that case, how flipping the script would look is actually doubling down on the why. So let them know why it matters. Okay. So this matters because we'll lose margin if you continue down this path. And we won't be able to reinvest that profit, that money, which could be a risk for jobs. So even if that's not something that really is scaring them at the moment, helping them to see that bigger picture might be something that motivates them based on understanding how it could impact other people that they care about. So it matters to the sustainability of the business, which means it matters for all of your friends and coworkers here so that we can continue to have a robust and profitable organization. All right, now let's talk about number two. Another thing that I see all the time from managers is they start out their feedback by trying to get curious, which is great and important, but they do that by asking why negative questions, right? So you got your employees clear on the why for the organization. They know that there is something in it for them, or at the very least, people that they care about if they make the change that you're asking them to make. And maybe they even agreed to it wholeheartedly. It wasn't just this absent minded nodding, right? So you decide to get really direct at that point then and say, okay, so why haven't you done it? Asking why triggers defensiveness. It implies blame. It subtly says, you better justify yourself because I don't see any excuses here. Now, suddenly that person feels wound up, right? They are scrambling to find some rationale for what they did. So they start pushing back. How would you respond to something like, why haven't you finished this project yet? Or why were you rude to Steve in that meeting last week? Instead of getting insight when you ask questions like those, you're going to get excuses and evasions because the natural instinct is to answer in a way that protects and deflects that blame onto something or someone else. So, to get a productive response and to actually see the movement and the action that you want to see, what should you do instead? Well, challenge yourself to change your why question into a what or a how question. Change the question from an accusation to a true inquiry. What is getting in the way of completing the queue today? Or how did that meeting with Steve go? These shift the tone, and you can hear it in my voice, even just walking you through them, right? They shift that tone from judgment to true curiosity. And they invite the person into a problem solving narrative rather than putting them on the spot to actually, put up a wall for you. This one can be tough, right? Completely understand in the heat of the moment, we want to ask the question and get the answer. And that's why those why negative questions come out. Sometimes the blame feels justified, right? So we know that it's their fault. We know they really were rude to Steve. And curiosity at a time like that can feel like a complete waste of time. So I understand all of the feelings. But again, you have to ask yourself, what do you want to get out of this situation? If you want to be heard and to let that person know that it is unacceptable, asking a why question might get you there. But if you actually want to see action in the right direction, you want your people to take your feedback and implement it so that they can move forward and all of you can move forward, then getting curious is the way to go. So, because I know that it's difficult, but it is so important to actually seeing progress, I created a translation guide that helps you take some of those really sticky, frustrated thoughts and turn them into a curiosity question that will move you down the right path. You can find the link to that. It's totally free. Go ahead, grab the link, and grab that one below. Every time you catch yourself framing a blame based question, pause and just ask yourself, could I say this differently? Can I invite insight rather than asking them to defend? You can use that pause. You could think about it proactively. In either circumstance, go ahead and take that tool. Use that tool. Changing the questions gives you better answers. And when you have better answers, you can coach more effectively. Ultimately, you're going to see the change that you want to see sooner. That's the moral of the story. But an added bonus is it actually puts the ownership of coming up with a solution to that problem on the employee. It empowers them to step up and take the lead on finding the solution rather than leaving it all on you. So, you might actually balance out the time it takes to get curious with the fact that you don't have to be the one who comes up with the solutions all the time. Just make sure that you don't fall into this next trap, okay? That would be number three. The most common thing that I see in leaders and the way that they are sabotaging their feedback the most is that they never actually gave the feedback. Get this, you clarified the why, you clarified why you need the change, right? And you talked about how it was going to benefit the employee. And then you were curious about what it would take to get them to take the action. You put that ball firmly in their court so that they would be able to run with it. And they still didn't make the change. And it might be because you never actually asked them to. So let's get a little bit more clear on this. We assume that they are looking at information the same way we're looking at it. But the fact is, they don't. So oftentimes we give feedback by sharing what we wish would happen, what we wish were true. We are painting the picture of the vision we want to see. And that's great, except that then we assume that they understand that we're saying they are the people to get us there. And is their action that is going to take us to that next level. But here's the truth, people don't act on hints, they act on clarity. And this sort of feedback is at best confusing because people are sitting around listening to what you wish would happen, what this wonderful new version is going to look like. And at worst, passive aggressive because they don't understand what it is that they could be doing to make it happen. Imagine walking into your home and announcing to the family, this house is such a mess. Everything just runs better around here when things are clean. Now, you might think that you just asked your kids to wash the dishes and you asked your husband to fold the laundry so that you could vacuum, right? You might think that that's what you said. But I assure you, you did not say that. There was no reason to believe that your children or your husband would do anything like put their phone down or stop reading or get up from the TV to do the things that you wanted them to do, even though you cast that vision of things run better when the house is clean. And the same is true at work. We can't just expect someone to guess what the bridge is between your expectations and their daily actions. So, what can you do instead? Well, before you go into the meeting, right? Before you even have the conversation or send the email to the person that you want to give feedback to, get incredibly clear for yourself on what it is you want them to do. Ask yourself, if everything went perfectly right now, what would they do today? Then make sure you say those words out loud, possibly a couple times, and for sure at the end of the conversation. I'd like you to close every open ticket that is out there by noon today. Or I want you to reach out to 3 clients this afternoon and send me a draft of your talking points. Be bold, be precise, be direct, and ask for the actual things that you want to see happen. Give them the rationale. Yes, we want them to know why they are doing this. We want them to know what is in it for them. But land with, this is what I need from you. That clarity converts intention into action. Now, let's wrap things up here, right? So, what are we going to stop doing in our feedback? We're going to stop telling them what we need from them and actually help them understand what is in it for them to make a change. We're going to stop asking why negative questions that are putting them on the defensive and instead get truly curious with the guide through what and how questions. And then we are going to give actual, clear, actionable steps on how they can move forward. Now, you might be thinking that you were very justified and right in every part of your, but here's the truth. Giving feedback isn't about being right. It doesn't matter if you were right if you weren't being heard, right? So, when your team understands what is in it for them, when your questions invite curiosity instead of defensiveness, and when you can give them a firm ask that is crystal clear, that is when your feedback finally starts to stick. You stop repeating yourself. You stop chasing accountability and you can start leading with a calm confidence because your words actually move people. I will leave you with this. Your team wants to grow. They want your guidance. But more than that, they want to feel seen, heard, and motivated. And you have the power to make that happen. Now, again, share your most frustrating feedback moment where nothing changed. Drop a comment of that below. Let us know where you're at because I promise you, you are not alone. And we are going to get your message landing exactly the way you intended. I'll see you next time.